With us right now, serial entrepreneur, co-founder of innovation studio Style of Tech, all-around good guy, global advisor, investor. Charlie, thank you so much. Charlie Regis, thank you so much for joining us.
No, not at all. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, Charlie, high level, explain what you do in the world.
That's a good question.
Professionally.
The best way to frame what I do is to consider me a sport agent for the tech world, where there's two core pillars. On the first side, as you mentioned, I run one of the leading digital innovation studios in the UK called Style of Tech, where we collaborate with Fortune 500 companies to bring concepts to life, as well as founders really shaping their ideas, designing them, building them, helping them bring products to market that change the game on a number of different levels. We produce in-house ventures as well. Our latest baby is a fitness app called Ammo, which is a groundbreaking innovation, which is the highest rated fitness app on the App Store right now, something that we're really excited about. We're very big on innovation, as the title suggests. So we work with accelerators all over the world, helping founders really shape and grow the venture design of what they do. So that's kind of phase one, is products and innovation. And on the second side of things, I'm very much in the fundraising game, where I'm the founder of a global investment network called the Peach Collective, where we specialize in off-market deal flow and helping really exciting founders get access to meaningful capital around the world.
And so getting back to if we think about the analogy of you being a, I don't want to say talent scout, right? But agent, who makes a great athlete for you to work with? Like, what are the telltale signs? What do they have going on? What's the spirit that you're looking for? Or is there certain sectors that you pay attention to? You much prefer volleyball athletes as opposed to, racquetball.
I'm with you. I have three core sectors that I'm focused on right now. So the first one is sort of impact and climate-based ventures. They're a really big sector for me. I have all sorts going on in that space. The second one is sort of biotech, health tech, life sciencey type of stuff. Think about a coronavirus vaccine in a pill that can be sent in the post, all the way through to gluten intolerance pills and stuff like that. Some really high-end innovations in that space. And then the last one is IP heavy tech. So if you think about future of the internet type of stuff, or AWS for space, those are the types of sectors that I'm involved with. What do I look for in a founder? Very good question. And I think, there's a little bit of room for flexibility on that, because, the perfect founder isn't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily fit every type of characteristic that you'd want. But for me, I look for an obsessive, somebody that is completely driven by their mission, by what they're doing. I look for someone that has the ability to motivate a team around them and have them all in and really drive in the same direction. I think that's huge when it comes to bringing an amazing idea to life. And then I look for somebody who tries to put themselves in a position to learn as often as possible. I think as a founder, it's very easy to exist in your own bubble. And I think the sooner you're able to put yourself into rooms where you are the least informed, the least intelligent person in the room, the more you can absorb. You get that rub, a bit like an athlete when you play against LeBron or something like that. You get the rub and just look to absorb as much excellence as possible to evolve your own skill set, your own outlook, and really grow as an entrepreneur, because you've got to do that at pace if you're going to make it in this game.
Yeah. So speaking of athletics, so you played tennis pretty competitively.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I miss it. I do miss it. Played like low-level pro tour. And then, I think with tennis, most of the time you lose every week unless you're Federer, right? You're going to get to a level where you're losing in the second round, the final, whatever that looks like. And I just started getting my ass kicked way too often and decided that it was time for a career change. But I think, there's so much that you can take from an individual sport like tennis and bring it into entrepreneurship. I think the one that hits me most is around reflection. When you're touring by yourself, a lot of the time, you have to be able to reflect on your match and really think about, what could I do better? What went well, and then try and walk onto court still feeling like a champion the next day, so that you can perform at the highest level possible. And I think with entrepreneurship, having that reflective mindset of, how did that meeting go? Did I give the person in front of me what they were looking for from an energetic perspective, from the way I'm delivering my pitch, my vision, whatever that looks like, but still being able to walk back into the next meeting and deliver with 100% confidence, so being self-critical, being able to then reflect, adjust, and deliver with that confidence and authority that a founder needs, I think is a really big deal, and something that's translated well.
Yeah. What brought you, where was your path that led you to now kind of co-found a studio, be kind of on the investor side of things? Like how did you get there?
I was chasing adventure, if I'm completely honest, had no idea what I was signing up for at all. One of my good friends, actually my doubles partner at university, funny you mentioned tennis, had this young startup that was doing pretty well. They had the opportunity to go to Silicon Valley and go onto this accelerator. And at the time I was in the sports game, sort of building commercial strategy for athletes. And I decided that it wasn't for me, and sort of jumped into it feet first, with the opportunity to, go to San Francisco and absorb as much as possible. And if you fast forward to now, that venture didn't end up playing out the way we'd hoped. It had a 6-month period of doing really well, and then sort of took a dip. And the creation of the studio was our rebellion of refusing to go back to normal life. It got to the point where the venture had fizzled out of cash, and we either needed to find a way to make money and really use our skill sets in digital innovation, or we had to go find a job. So that was the birth of the studio. We didn't want to be dependent on raising money. We didn't want to be dependent on not being able to build what we want when we want. So we created the studio. It's grown over the last 6 years now to the point where we're 28, 30 people strong. And we use the profits of the studio to fund our own in-house ventures, which is where Ammo for the last 2 years has been our in-house baby. It's the first fitness app that's ever been driven by a gaming engine. So it delivers this unbelievable Peloton-esque immersive experience, but a crazy level of personalization, down to the biometric data. So, as your heart rate changes, we try and keep you in that fat burning zone, and the workout can manipulate rest time. It can manipulate the exercise. It can manipulate the intensity that you're working at to really keep you in that sweet spot for the duration of that workout, providing you with the perfect workout every time. So that's something that we've been cooking for a meaningful amount of time.
Yeah. So, I was just so now Ammo is an app. It's found. How do I find it in the App Store?
If you type in Ammo app on the App Store, it'll pop up. The website is www.ammoapp.co.uk.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go. And what we've done, what we've achieved with it, is we've digitized a personal trainer, essentially. So we use AI predominantly to use the content set that we create out of the gates, where we collaborate with a high-end influencer to create this huge content set. Our AI can then create thousands of workouts using that content set, which are completely fluid with your needs and wants. So in terms of a different level of personalization to anything that's in the game, we've hit the mark on that point. And the users right now are really digging it. Our user retention is about 10x the industry average when it comes to the 30-day mark. So after the first month, our retention is about 10x. So early stages, people seem to like it, and it's an opportunity for us to really go for it.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. Again, yeah, I'm looking at this makes sense. Again, it just the app should be able to kind of figure out where you are, how much effort you're putting into it. Music-wise, you don't have to worry about license. You just connect with Spotify and let them worry about that sort of stuff. So that makes sense too.
Exactly. We're trying to replicate what it means to have a world-class coached experience. It has a motivational element to it. It has that real-time, minute-by-minute personalization. And then, it has that ability to adapt for injuries and stuff like that as well. So we're trying to bring what it means to be trained by a world-class trainer at a price point that anybody in the world can access. It's about $10 a month. We believe that physical and mental health is a basic human right. And we're trying to deliver that to the masses.
Yeah, excellent. So where does Peach Collective come in?
So Peach Collective really was born a couple of years ago out of the access to deal flow that we were getting initially through the accelerators that we work with. So we work with over 25 different accelerators, from Techstars through to the biggest concept stage accelerator in the game in Silicon Valley that's backed by NASA. And, the game of entrepreneurship is a very fluid one, and fundraising is a big piece of the puzzle. So we saw an opportunity to capitalize on the amazing founders and projects that we were in contact with, and start to shape this value proposition where we'd plug them into investment networks. Now, the Peach Collective really was born out of trying to create bridges between global ecosystems. Our investment network in the UK had grown pretty significantly, but what we found much more difficult was growing this global network, access to Dubai, to India, to Toronto, to Silicon Valley. So to get around that, we put this group together of serial entrepreneurs who have been there and done it, traditionally with a couple of exits under their belt, who collaborate over the best deal flow that they have in each of their ecosystems, so that each of our investment networks in our countries get access to some of the most exciting opportunities in the game. And our portfolio of companies that we're helping raise money get access to this global network. So, we predominantly focus on Series A+, so rounds of 2 million above. And we have deal flow literally going into the hundreds of millions right now. So for us, it does a number of things. It gives us a meaningful amount of weight as an innovation studio, because what we're able to do is not just build you the most incredible product on the market, not just introduce you to a cohort of investors that are targeted and relevant, but it gives us sort of a rare expertise in designing your venture. So this is something that we're coining called venture design, where it's not enough just to produce a great app these days. You need to be able to design the roadmap of your trajectory of growth and tie that in with the product roadmap and everything else to create a really meaningful 360 strategy to give you the best chance at success. And success looks different for every founder. Some founders want a $30 million exit. Some founders want a unicorn. So, you design things appropriately, and you try and create a really granular game plan to get them through to that end game in 3, 5, 7 years. So that's really what we're able to deliver, is a very unique mindset and approach to the game.
I see that, Charlie, you spent a lot of time, as an advisor, looks like you're doing a lot of pro bono stuff. And what would you recommend in today's startup environment? Like, if you were kind of you were kind of looking in your crystal ball and you say, listen, if you want to get into the game, here are some maybe key recommendations in terms of, things that you might have a greater sensitivity to today rather than like maybe 3 to 5 years ago. How that world has changed.
Yeah. I think falling in love with an idea is the number one reason why startups fail. I think, coming up with an idea and saying, this is going to be an amazing product is completely the wrong way to go about starting a business. The thing that you need to fall in love with is a problem. This problem is causing a meaningful amount of friction to a huge amount of people. I need to figure out how to solve it. And once you start having that mindset of trying to solve that problem in the most beautiful and efficient and frictionless way possible, you have a much better chance of getting something that achieves traction in the market. The other thing that I would say is you need to test your ideas as soon as possible. Don't build something, don't spend $250K building an app or even $120K building an app if you haven't tested your hypotheses. Go and speak to people, find groups online where you're able to ask about their problems. In terms of the spaces that I think founders should be looking at, or the problems that people should be looking at, Climate and impact is a big one, but that's a big R&D push a lot of the time. I would be looking right now at things like digital fashion. I think is very interesting, for these virtual worlds that are seemingly around the corner and our virtual selves. Digital fashion, I think, is going to play a very interesting role in how we start to frame our virtual selves. And I think it's going to be huge. And, you got to pick something that's personal to you. This has to be something you're obsessed with. I think that's the key. You got to have something that has you motivated every day.
So Charlie, someone has been listening to our conversation and they're like, "Why, I like Charlie, seems like a really nice guy." How can you help them? Or like, who are you looking to connect with? And what would that path be for them?
Sure.
Are you just looking for startup founders that are already kind of kicking butt? They're looking for their Series A plus, or, can other folks who are not maybe quite at that level, can they engage with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've built a system or an ecosystem where we can help people at almost every stage. So if you have an idea that you're looking to shape, we have something at the Innovation Studio called a funding package, which essentially gets you in a position to raise your first round of funding, whether it's 500K, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And what that looks like is you come to us, we work through your idea with our team of researchers, with our product experts, and we really start to shape what are the priorities that need to be solved with this problem. We build out the technical specification, we'll design some key elements of the app, and then create this amazing video that looks like an advert, literally looks like a TV advert for your app that helps you go into market and go and raise money, essentially. Whoa. So
wait, tell me, exactly. wait, slow down. Let me make sure no one forgot that, because that sounds really cool. Where do they go?
So they go to either www.stylif.com, or they can reach out to me personally on my email, which I'll give you to put in the link under the episodes, where we're happy to work through what you need to get you in a position to raise, and then of course we can build it.
Yeah. So that website, so Styliff is STYLIFF.com. And I'm kind of browsing the website right now of some of the work that you've done. So
to give you a taste of the stuff that's on there, we're involved with all sorts of different companies, from Lidl through to Dropless, which is the #1 service provider for cars anywhere, anytime in London, sort of on-demand services, which is a really interesting company. And there's a bunch on there that you can check out if you visit the website and have a scroll down. It's a very visual website.
Yeah, certainly. Awesome. Well, Charlie, any kind of final words of advice for those who are kind of in the business world? Now we're kind of mostly post-COVID. At least we hope, knock on wood.
Fingers crossed.
So the disruptions that came as a result of that. Just any other like general rules for life or living or business.
Balance, man. If there's one thing that I've learned, or trying to learn coming out of COVID, is trying to rebalance what it means to live a life. I think we all got a bit lost in our jobs and our work through this sort of Zoom life that we've been living, 10, 12 calls a day. And I think trying to recalibrate what it means to function at a high level without committing every ounce of yourself is a big deal. But the #1 thing is don't be afraid to go for it. This is an action-based game. If you're thinking about getting involved in business, you can talk about it forever. The #1 way you can make it happen is literally by starting, and that might be a phone call with us, and throwing some ideas around about your idea, or working with experts around your idea and understanding if this is something that's worth chucking, your time and energy for, What about you? What's been the #1 takeaway from COVID?
Is that, listen, anytime there are disruptions to anything, right? Yes, there are going to be, some things that are like, well, I guess we can't do that right now. Or I guess we can't do that anymore. Or I guess society's kind of moved on from that. But anytime there is a wrinkle, I mean, that presents opportunity if you come from the frames or the mindset of, wait a minute, there's a problem here and I don't see an immediate solution. I don't know if anyone else is rushing to solve that problem, but I can solve that problem, right? And so showing up and saying, I can help. Here's how I can help. Even if it's something as simple as, serving pro bono, or, just, kind of those more service minded stuff, even if you're not, not creating a groundbreaking technology or whatever, but just showing up. And if your idea is that you want to help, then it's going to be easy to come up with, it's like, if you just wander into like a catastrophe. I'm sorry, this is your interview, not mine.
No, it's a conversation.
But it's interesting, right? So if you show up and let's just see something terrible happen, right? It's building exploded and there's blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not going to be that difficult to find a way to chip in to help out, right? Even if it's just something, as simple as giving water to somebody, right? There's always going to be stuff to do. So that, it's like, if you approach the world and you approach the day that way, how can I help? That to me, is kind of, how I think COVID kind of illustrated that point. And I think that in tragedy, or not tragedy, but to like any major disruption like that, will absolutely expose or promote people and will reveal, it accelerates, where or who people are. So there you go. Here's my interview.
No, I love it. I love it. Actually, it triggered something, a bit of content Gary Vee put out ages ago. I'm slightly obsessed with Gary Vee. I think he's amazing. And, people popping in questions, and this guy popped in a question where he'd just come out with one of these hit Instagram songs, where everybody's putting their TikToks and they have this same song that's looping over it. He was the guy that produced one of these songs, right? They just hit it. And it was on all of these videos that you end up watching. And he was thinking, now's my time to start really raking in the cash. I've made this hit TikTok thing, and now I want to hit it. And Gary Vee flipped it on his head. He's like, no, you have it all wrong. This is now your moment of being high profile. The thing that you need to be doing is, how can I help? You need to be in a giving mode now. This is the time when your ecosystem can explode. And the more you give in this moment in time, the more eventually it's going to come back to you, and it's going to be nurturing you from all kinds of different perspectives, financial being one of them. So I think, as a founder, giving is a really big deal. Yeah. Whether it's, advice on something or whatever. And that's why I like to do, it's like why I like to work with accelerators and work with companies on a more intimate level as an advisor as well. And you'd be surprised how much you learn by giving at the same time. It is a self-fulfilling cycle. So yeah, I think that's a big one on giving.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. So Charlie Regis, you're based in London, by the way, right? Is that correct? Okay, cool.
London based, yeah.
All right. So Charlie, thank you so much again. Ammo Ventures, Peachtree Collective, again, serial entrepreneur, investor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime. No, I really appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.